3 here today. Lawrence, quick toss to the far side, pass complete. It's Dondoyano again with his second of the day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the third episode of The Next Level, a Lakeside video series that catches up with Lakeside student athletes as they continue their athletic pursuits at whatever next level they are at. Now, it's been about 4 months since our last episode, and that's been very on purpose. We in the athletics department have really been trying to read the room on social media and do a lot of active listening and learning about the really incredibly important news and events that have been happening in our world and in our country, and in our case, even in our city. Just one of those things, obviously, has been this global pandemic that we're all being affected by, and how to, or even if to, bring back some of the things from our lives that bring us joy and give us purpose and allow us to feel together as a community. For a lot of people, sports is that thing that gives them purpose or brings them joy. So we're going to talk a little bit with today's guests about how they've dealt with that uncertainty and how they're going to continue dealing with it moving forward. So let's introduce today's guest. We are pleased to have with us today from the Lakeside class of 2017, football player, basketball player, track and field athlete, and current wide receiver for the University of San Diego Torrero's football team, Bennett Dondoyano. Bennett, how's it going, man?
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you, Coach.
I knew you were back in town for a little while. Are you back in San Diego now?
Yeah, after school ended, I came back down to San Diego for the summer.
How's everything going down there? Weather nice, I'm sure?
72 and sunny, just like every single day.
Perfect.
Throughout the whole year.
That's awesome. Yeah. Cool. Well, Bennett, let's get right into things. Our first segment here is called The Book, and that's just where I'm going to catch everybody that's watching up on who you were at Lakeside and a little bit about what you're doing now. A pretty big resume for you here. You played 3 varsity level sports at Lakeside, and as a football player, I remember this, of course, because I was one of your coaches. You kind of did it all. As a receiver, I found you caught 82 passes for 1,301 yards and 13 touchdowns, 16 interceptions and 138 total tackles as a defender, and you even play a little quarterback for us on occasion, racking up about 400 yards passing in just a few appearances. Your senior year, you were a first-team All-Metro player for us on offense and defense. You played a little basketball as well, but it was in the spring. I think that during track seasons, really, you started to shine a little bit more. Your senior year, you placed 4th in the state in the decathlon, and you were a state finalist in the triple jump. And then your senior year, you committed to the University of San Diego to play football. Redshirted your freshman year, but since then you've appeared in every game your team has played, catching 29 passes for 326 yards and a touchdown, and definitely something not to be ignored. You were on the Pioneer Football League all-academic honor roll every year that you've been a part of that team, and that's a pretty awesome thing too.
Freshman year, I had two extra interceptions that aren't on max preps. It's at 18, but I'm okay with that.
Dondoyano getting it done on both sides of the ball. Picks the pass and goes to work. The senior breaks a couple of tackles, cuts to the outside, and turns on the Jets.
All right, well, let's move right on into our next segment. This is called Playing Catch. You and I are just going to catch up on what you've been up to since you left Lakeside. Now, first and foremost, we were texting a little bit yesterday in preparation for the interview here, and found out you received some pretty big news. So, what did you hear? What was your and your teammates' reaction to the news that you heard?
We got an impromptu meeting from our athletic director yesterday at 4 o'clock, and basically told us that the PFL made a decision to cancel all fall sports, to cancel our fall season, and to leave open, hopefully, the possibility of playing in the spring. It's pretty big news, but it seems like it's been a move that a lot of conferences have been making in the past few weeks, in the past couple months. It's been one heck of a past 4 months since we've been sent home. It's been really important to have an adaptable mindset since these past 4 months, because the news keeps on changing, and a lot of us we wanted to play the season, and we all prepared and we all trained for a season that was going to come, but we also knew we kept it realistic that there is a possibility that we weren't going to play, and now it's reality. So we're going to do the same exact thing, and that's what we're gonna keep that mindset, being able to adapt to change, and I'm excited to get back to work.
So what's the next step? I mean, it's been less than 24 hours since you found that news out. What's the first thing that you're going to set out to do?
I got the news yesterday, and I was like, wow, what do I do now? And our strength coach, we've been doing workouts. He told us, take the next week off. I think for a lot of people, it's time to, sit down and look at what their options are given the eligibility thing. There's a lot of things to consider, but now, we have answers about the season. The next steps are to reevaluate and meanwhile try to keep working hard, just exactly what we've been doing for the past 4 months.
Well, that's definitely a great mindset to have. Obviously, wish you the best moving through this whole weird process. High schools around the country, including Lakeside, are kind of going through the same thing right now. And so while we know a little bit about how you must feel about that, it's certainly different when you're the actual student athlete that's getting affected by these decisions. So best of luck as you move forward with that. I want to shift it a little bit back now to your time at Lakeside. I mentioned before I was one of your coaches on the football team here, so you and I both know that you were part of some pretty interesting football teams, particularly I think because we typically had a kind of a smaller roster. Now that's changed now. Our roster this year is close to 60 players, which is really great. But back in your day, you pretty much never came off the field. So you go from those small roster sizes, never coming off the field, playing all 3 phases of the game, to Division I college football where there's close to 100 people on your team and you're only playing one position. What was something that you think you learned about playing on those small roster sizes that you were able to take with you to Division I college football? Yeah,
it's a great question. I think one thing I learned the most was about myself as an athlete. Being thrust into those positions, you definitely learn a lot about yourself and what you can do and what you can't do. I think I learned that I can do a lot in the game of football. It gave me a good sense of confidence going into college that I tried to hold on to going through my redshirt year and going through times I wasn't getting as much playing time as I wanted. I still had that baseline of confidence that there's a lot of things I know I can do as an athlete that I did at Lakeside on the football field, that when the time comes, when I do get on the field and when I do get those opportunities at USD, I know I'll be able to get that stuff done. So I'm really thankful for the opportunities I got at Lakeside to kind of run around and play football from every different perspective and angle. And I learned a lot from being able to do that.
Forward, more puffed up. Here's a screen pass. Dondoyano. Good catch. Good move. Dondoyano.
So you mentioned earlier, not just football, but you played 3 sports at Lakeside at the varsity level. So that meant you were probably going 2 to 3 weeks where you were not playing sport throughout the school year. Was there ever a time where you thought dropping one of those sports that you could focus on 1 or 2 sports, or did you really enjoy being a 3-sport athlete? Well,
actually, my junior year, I didn't play basketball. I trained with my dad. He's a personal trainer. I did running workouts, lifting workouts. Part of me regrets not playing, because if I were to go back, I'd play 6 sports in high school if I could. Those memories are really hard to beat. They're things that I definitely will cherish forever. On the other side of the things, I was able to get stronger, quicker, faster, and I ended up having a pretty good year in track, and it gave me a lot of confidence as an athlete going into my senior year of football. So there are good ways, good things on both ends. But yeah, I enjoyed it all. It was a challenge academically too, because I was always getting home pretty late. But that's just the nature of being a student athlete, and just being an athlete my entire life is kind of what I'm used to.
All right, Bennett, our next segment, we call it Storytellers. That's where I'm going to ask you to tell us a story. Instead of me asking you questions, you're going to tell us a story, something that we can't just figure out by rewatching game film or reading through the stats. So it's on you now. Tell us a story.
Probably one of my favorite sports moments was my sophomore year. It was our first playoff crossover game. Our starting quarterback, Sam Schrader, he was hurt for that game, and we were trying to figure out what to do. We went through the first half. I was playing receiver, and it wasn't going so high. I think we were down about 14 points. And Coach Gilson at the time, he was our quarterback's coach. He came up. He was like, "All right, you're getting the ball." Not a lot of people know that was my first time playing quarterback since the past year. I had no choice to get ready for it, and we went out there, and I had the time of my life. I just played football how I knew, and I kind of played wide receiver back there at quarterback. I was just running around trying to avoid people. And one of my 2 passing touchdowns, one was to Greg Sabo my senior year, but the other one was to Cole. It was a screen pass, so I threw the ball about 5 yards, and he took the ball about 50 yards. So I had a fun play where I flipped over a guy into the end zone, and that tied it. We were receiving the kickoff, and we fumbled the ball on the kickoff on our own 3-yard line with about 3 minutes left, and then we had to stop them. We We had a goal line stand. So we were down by 3. We had the ball with about 50 seconds left. We drove the ball all the way down the field, down to the 3-yard line, decided to play it safe, kicked the field goal to overtime. And then we scored, they scored, and then went to double overtime. We scored, and then held them to 4-and-out, I guess. And then we won that game, and we won our first playoff game as a program. And I don't remember how long. That was maybe my favorite game of my career, my sophomore year. Back to what I said earlier about the opportunities I got at Lakeside, I think it was a great time for me to learn that, you know, I could go out there if I ever did have to play quarterback in college, then I just got to go out there and play.
Yeah, well, certainly one I remember, of course, being on the sideline for that one. That entire coaching staff from that year would agree, probably one of the more exciting and also nerve-wracking games to be a coach for. But all right, Bennett, let's move on to the next segment in the show. We call this one Getting Nerdy. We'll get a little bit deeper into your thoughts about the game that you play. Let's start with, you know, you've always been, as I remember you, and I think as people know you now, to be a really fast, athletic wide receiver. A lot of your high school highlights were you just being faster, more athletic than people, running by people. But now you're a Division I football player, and probably every guy that you play with and against was the best player from wherever they came from. So I want you to evaluate yourself as a wide receiver. When you got to USD, what were the things that you knew you needed to improve on, or what were the things that you knew you were already really good at?
Like you said, I've always been kind of a fast, athletic receiver, and right away, first week of practice, I got the nickname Fresh Legs from my football team, and I'm probably around the quickest on the team. You know, you can have all the fancy footwork, you can move quick, but it's all about moving quick in the right direction. Moving smart, actually. You know, you got to be able to make separation, basically. And I think that was one thing I learned right away in college, was that these DBs, these corners, they're pretty smart too, and they know how to counter moves. So you have to know how to counter other moves. And you can be the quickest guy on the team, but if you don't know how to use it, then you're not gonna go anywhere. You know, you have to use that quickness to be able to get separation, and that's one thing as a receiver, just learning as specifically a receiver, not just a football player, that I've had to learn techniques and more fundamentals that were pretty raw when I came to college. And another thing I think that I came with a little plus coming into USD's offense specifically, we run the West Coast offense, and we utilize all 11 players every single play. So that means when we run power, that means I'm going in and I'm trying to crack a safety. Or when we run outside zone, then I have an assigned block. And we're going to get physical, we're going to get tough. And with that being said, I'm also on the smaller side. So I've been trying to put on weight, and I've gotten a lot stronger. And the weight seems to go up on the barbells, but they haven't been packing on the scale. But I've been getting stronger, and that's important too.
Other than the nickname, did you have a really good welcome to college football moment?
We were playing Drake, freezing cold, it was raining. I had an end around when I got the ball. I was coming around, and I have a blocker. It was our fullback, and I thought he was gonna get the corner. And he didn't get the corner, and the corner came straight into me. I didn't have really time to make a move. He put his head straight into the football. The football goes flying up in the air, and then I go flying up in the air too. And I probably one of the hardest hits I've ever experienced. And we lost the ball, and then they got it, and they were able to score, and that was one of their only scores of the game. But luckily, our defense played great, and we were able to win the game. But that was definitely a welcome to college football moment for me, and that's been my only fumble, and hopefully it's my last fumble too.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah. Well, speaking of hits, man, that was the next question I was going to ask you. Is I wanted to ask you about, there are a lot of things that have changed, and rightfully so, within the game to try to keep football players not only healthy while they play the game, but also longer in their life. You know, things from equipment to the style of play and things like that. So what's something that you think that, as a Division I football player, you know, where the game is being played at almost the highest level there is, what's something that you think that's changed about the game that most people don't know?
I don't know how many people have noticed, but there's been new targeting rules that have been put into place. And what targeting is, it's leading with the head or leaving your feet and making head-to-head contact or leaning with the head to really anywhere in the body. And if it happens, then you're ejected from the game. And if you're ejected in the second half, then you have to sit out the first half of the next game. I think it's sending a big message to everyone, you know, in the football world. I personally, like I mentioned earlier that I have to block a little bit, and I might have some blindside blocks that I have the choice to lead with my head or lead my feet and hit someone pretty hard, or I can, you know, square them up and get basically the same objective done, but do it cleanly. It's going to be a process to change any type of game, and especially one like football where it's naturally there's a lot of physicality. But I think we're making a lot of good steps, and I'm excited for the safety that is going to be involved with the sport in the future.
You go to school in San Diego, one of the most beautiful cities in the country, I think, without a doubt. I got the chance to come down there and visit you earlier in the year during your off-season football practices. So I know how much there is to do there. So I want to play a quick game that I'm going to call Where is Bennett? And I'm going to name 2 places in San Diego, and you're going to tell me where we are more likely to find you. Where is Bennett? Is Bennett at the Elephant Odyssey at the San Diego Zoo, or are you on your laptop on the upper level of the University of San Diego's Copley Library?
If it's after today or after the summer, I'm probably on my laptop in the Copley Library because they just renovated it, and I definitely want to. It looks like it's a pretty nice place. But before that, I'm probably, you know, checking out some elephants. That sounds pretty fun.
Next one. Are we finding Bennett? Is he taking a surf lesson at Pacific Beach, or is he catching a Torrero baseball game at Fowler Park?
Maybe I'm giving the surf lesson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a great surfer whatsoever, but I can teach the basics to get someone to learn how to stand up. But yeah, I'm probably at the beach.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
All right, and last one. Where's Bennett? Is he having dinner on Coronado Island, or is he playing pickup basketball in the McNamara Fitness Center?
Definitely in the fitness center. That's where we lived up in by the sports center in the Vistas. Me and my roommates, and we would go play pickup all the time. And yeah, definitely over there.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah. So for the most part, we're finding Bennett still on campus. Unless it's the off season, maybe you're at the zoo.
Yeah. Exactly.
We're gonna move on to the competitive part of the show here. We call this segment Time Trials, and this is where I'm just gonna put 60 seconds somewhere on the screen here, and we'll give you 60 seconds to answer a bunch of questions that have nothing to do with football. They're more just. Now, the number to beat is Callan, our last episode. Callan Spiller answered 11 questions in 60 seconds. Are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
Okay, man, here we go. 60 seconds starts now. What food are you taking to a potluck?
Spam musubi.
What's one thing about you that surprises people?
I can solve Rubik's Cubes.
What's your weirdest superstition?
That's a good question. Well, in high school, I used to solve Rubik's Cubes before games, okay. And we were winning, and then we lost one game when I didn't. So
okay. Would you rather go 100 years into the future or 100 years into the past?
Future.
Do you cut your sandwiches in triangles or rectangles?
Rectangles.
What's your favorite candy bar?
Twix.
Are you vacationing at the ocean or in the mountains?
Ocean.
What animal are you most scared of?
A cheetah.
What's the most used app on your phone?
Twitter.
Nice. All right, time's up. We got through 9. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's what I thought it was.
I'm gonna blame a little bit of myself because I think I should have interrupted you when you were talking about the superstition.
Yeah.
But
it's okay.
Okay, Bennett, one of my favorite parts of the show, we call this one Run It Back, and that's where we're going to bring a guest onto the show, somebody that knows you, that you know from your time at Lakeside here. They're going to ask you a bunch of trivia questions about your time at Lakeside, so let's bring them on now. All right, Bennett, your guest is teammates, good friend, Also Southern California resident Ben Hinkard here. Ben, welcome onto the show, man.
Hi, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, good to see you.
You too.
What's on your head, man?
Quarantine here. All right, let's see what you got. I'll start it off easy. It'll be a little harder. At the time of your graduation, you held 2 records in receiving categories. What were they, and who broke them since then after you graduated?
My records were catches in a game, 11 at Interlake, and then yards in a game was 243 at Nathan Hale, I think. And then Will Johnson just broke them all.
Very
Is that
good.
right?
One for one. I can't confirm the 243, but I think
Okay.
for Schlegel maybe can. All right, number 2. During your football career, who was the first person on our team to return a kickoff for a touchdown?
I know Sam Cooper returned one against O'Day sophomore year, and then you returned one senior year against Prep. So Sam Cooper returned one technically. He returned an onside kick.
Yeah, correct. Sam
Okay.
Cooper. Little shout out to Scoop.
One thing I've learned about this segment is that you guys remember a lot more detail about these questions than
Okay, all right. Next question. During your senior year, Lakeside was obviously not known for the number of players we had on the sideline. During what game did we have the least number of players eligible to go into the game, and how many players did we have eligible to go into the game?
I just remember Bainbridge when Xander was hurt. He didn't play that game, and Jack was hurt. He got hurt in practice, I think, and then AJ, our quarterback, he got hurt. So I think we had like 14 players ready to play that game. Is that right? 15?
Close. I believe it was 13.
Oh my
in
god!
In the second half. Bonus points if you can remember who was the starting quarterback of the second half for that game.
Was it me?
It was me.
Was it you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
All right. Speaking of your quarterback prowess, during your senior year, you played a lot of different offensive positions. During your time at quarterback, according to Max Prep statistics, how many passes did you attempt and how many did you complete?
My guess is gonna be like 4 for 17.
Close. 2
What
for
is it?
11.
Ah,
It's not bad. You should be able to get this one because we talk about this all the time. But your athletic accomplishments stretch beyond just football and even beyond varsity sports. How many house assembly events did you win while you were at Lakeside?
all of them.
All of them.
Is it 4?
I think it was 5. I think it was
5?
Yeah.
5 plus the newlyweds game that we won.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I always
So-
forget that wasn't part of house assembly. Maybe it was 4 plus. the
4
newlyweds.
plus the newlyweds, yeah.
4 plus the newlywed.
Nice.
Force to be reckoned with, us too.
Yeah. All right. That was pretty good. You were basically 5 for 5.
Yeah.
5 for 5.
Well, Ben, thanks for coming on with us, man. Really appreciate you taking some time to bring back up some memories for you two. And I hope
Sure.
it's going well for you too, man.
Go back to work.
Yeah.
See you, buddy.
Bye. See you guys later. Thanks for having me.
Okay, Bennett. Well, that brings us to the end here. The end of the show is yours, really. We like to end this with a shout out. So I'm going to leave the last couple of words to you here to shout out anyone or anything from your Lakeside days or back home that you want to say hi to. So take it away.
Like, shout out my parents. They helped me a lot to supporting me a lot through my time at Lakeside. And my brother, he went to Lakeside too, class of 2015. I shout out Ben and Xander, being my best friends from, before day one of school, all the way through high school and whatnot. Shout out to Callan. I would have beat your score if I didn't explain too much my superstition, but to the Lakeside community in general, especially right now, I think it's very important to reflect on a lot of things that I learned, especially at Lakeside. They taught me a lot about the history of our country, the history of oppression that a lot of Black people have faced throughout American history, really. And I think they gave me a lot of teachings and learnings that made me uncomfortable, and I walked out of a lot of history classes and English classes feeling pretty down. And I think that's important in our education system, where a lot of things are overlooked, and a lot of parts of our history isn't taught the way it should be. And I'm really thankful for Lakeside for giving me that part of my education that I've been able to use to form a lot of perspectives that are a little more informed, especially in times like this, with all the unrest and whatnot, to really understand why people are upset and why things are the way they are. So I'm really thankful to Lakeside and all my teachers there, and thanks to the USD community and everyone else at Lakeside.
Awesome stuff, Bennett. Thank you so much, man, for taking the time to be on here today with us and talk with us a little bit about your history and your career so far as a football player at USD. I know it's difficult times right now, and the news yesterday wasn't exactly what everybody was hoping for, but wishing you the best moving forward. I hope you'll keep in touch, and maybe now that it's in the spring, if things line up, maybe I'll get a chance to come down there and see you play in the Torrero uniform. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Great to see you, man. Keep in touch.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, that's it. Thanks so much to Bennett Dondoyano for coming back on the show here and telling us a little bit about his career so far as a student athlete. Thanks again to him for his honesty and his portrayal of what it is that he does down there at USD. Thanks to the University of San Diego for the help with the video and photo content. And to all of you for tuning back in, thanks to you for watching. Stay safe and stay tuned for a little bit more next level stuff coming at you soon. Go Lions.